Hey, vinyl community. Andy here, just back from a lot of travel since I last talked to you. Let's see, I went to New Orleans for a conference and to meet up with some friends. Did a lot of record shopping there at Euclid Records. I didn't actually make it to any of the other shops in New Orleans. I'm sure they're awesome, but Euclid is so good, and you're gonna see why I say that when I start showing when I got there. I think that's the best record shop for my taste that I've ever visited, and it looked like they had a lot of other good stuff too. So go there. Um, I also went to Charleston, South Carolina, which was really good for food, not so good for record shopping. There's only one shop that I could find in the center of the city. The other record shop was way out somewhere, which is kind of shocking because that's a very wealthy city. You'd think they would have a record scene, but maybe it's just too much of a. Maybe it's too rich, actually. Who knows? Anyway, let me show some stuff. I'll start with one I'm listening to now because I just put it on. I don't show many guitar players. It's not my favorite instrument in jazz, especially. But I picked this up because I figured if you're going to try to get into an instrument, you might as well start with a classic. So this is Midnight Blue, Kenny Burrell, Blue Note, what is it, 84 to 123 stereo pressing. This is on the New York label, Van Gelder with an ear. I grabbed this on eBay. I can't remember when I bought it actually because I was gone for so long, and it may have taken a while to get here. I may have even bought it like up to a month ago. Oh well, I'm listening to it now. Sounds great. Super heavy vinyl, super heavy, and it looks a little scratched up. But I've been playing it through the first side through. Second side's a little worse, but hey, sounds good. Okay, now I'm gonna get to another eBay really quick before I do that because I mentioned this on Brock the Pub's wall or messages, whatever you call these things. So he was talking about Butch Warren. So this is a record I got on eBay recently, Una Mas by Kenny Dorham, Blue Note, New York label. I think it's a 27 years of Blue Note inner sleeve, maybe 26. No, even before that. Old inner sleeve. This is original pressing, New York label, Van Gelder ears. It's a sorry, I'm trying to get this thing back in. It's in really, really nice shape. Mono pressing. The players on this, I think some of these guys at this time were maybe transitioning to more avant-garde or more fusion a little bit later on, of course. But this has Hancock, I said Butch Warren, Kenny Dorham, of course, Anthony Williams. Oh, such a good record. And that's such a great cover. I love that. So simple, but iconic looking. Okay, now stuff I got in New Orleans. So first one, I've been looking for this record on eBay for a long time. This isn't a original. This is a Liberty pressing, but you never see even Liberty pressings of this record. It's just you see modern reissues, which I was gonna get one actually, but then I found this. I was gonna ask for it for Christmas. Liberty pressing, Leapin' and Lopin', Sonny Clark, Billy Higgins on the drums, Sonny Clark, Butch Warren again, Charlie Rouse and Ike Quebec, and Tommy Turrentine. This is a mono, take that back. This is a stereo, Van Gelder in the Dead Wax. Sounds great. Cover has some writing on it. I hate when people did that. It looks like kids got a hold of it and just scribbled on some spots, but it's hard to see when you're not really focusing. But then I thought I should show this because I don't think I ever showed it, and I've mentioned it. I think this is such a funny thing. So this is something I picked up at End of an Ear last year. I saw them on their YouTube video post this, and they post the back, which that's the original label or it's the original outer jacket. And so I thought for a second, holy shit, they might have an original pressing of Cool Struttin'. And so I got there, and It's not an original because that would be just bonkers for them to have an original. It's a it's a Liberty, as you can see there. Um, but I think it must have been straight from the original stampers because it has the 9M on it. No ear, of course, but the 9M Rudy Van Gelder. But what's funny about it, and I thought that when I first picked it up, I thought maybe there was actually a pressing error, but it's actually just the label. The back is Sonny Rollins. They messed up at the factory that day. They put Sonny Clark, Sonny Rollins. The tracks are right. It's Sonny Clark's record, but wrong label. Which I looked around, I couldn't find any versions of this for sale or on Discogs where other people had this error, so maybe it was caught pretty quickly. I have no idea what that means for the value or anything like that. I think it actually reduces it because I think jazz records, those kind of things aren't considered cool, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And of course, that's a great record. And now I have two Sonny Clark records. I'm going to try to get the others, of course. Okay, that was just a quick interlude. Back to the great stuff from Euclid. You guys know I love Ornette Coleman. Volume 2, Trio at Stockholm, in Stockholm at the Golden Circle. This is an original Van Gelder ear pressing stereo, and I would say very good plus, maybe near mint. The cover's not. The cover's a little beat up. Spline is shredded. Somebody must have had a cat that got a hold of it. My cats have done that to a couple records, a couple outer sleeves. But that was a huge. I thought I was like shopping around this place for hours. Just it has so many records. And I went through all the jazz stuff upstairs where their main jazz section is, all the new releases, all the artists. I mean, I combed it. There were at least 20 records I left that I really would have liked to have gotten, but I don't want to blow all the money I have. But then I went downstairs and there was like even more jazz in another new arrivals area. And just blue notes from the 65, like right around the transition. Right around the Liberty sale. So most of them aren't original, ear pressings, but that one was, and they're just so reasonably priced there. Nothing was more than there was maybe $100 record. So they had a copy of Anthony Williams' Lifetime, his first Blue Note record, and that was $100. But it's original. Ear, everything. That's not a bad price. That's an amazing. I got that Ornette Coleman for an amazing price. I love this record shop, guys. You got to go. Go to New Orleans just to go to that record shop, and then drink a lot of Sazeracs, eat a lot of rich food. Another one they had there, Lee Morgan Charisma, with the cool cartoon illustration. This is Liberty, but that's what it should be from the release date. Jackie McLean on there. Hank Mobley, Cedar Walton, Paul Chambers, and Billy Higgins. Quite a lineup. Nothing to say. Super happy to get that one. Here's another one. Sonny Rollins, Volume 1. Blue Note, Mono. Pre-Liberty outer cover. Liberty record. Yeah, didn't get that lucky. Liberty record in this one, but mono, Van Gelder, perfect shape. Such a good album. Donald Byrd, of course. They had this Sonny Rollins. They had another Sonny Rollins Liberty pressing, but it was in not quite as good of shape, so I didn't get that one. They had Nuke's Time. Okay, so those are the Blue Notes, I think. All the Blue Notes I grabbed from Euclid. But of course I got other stuff. So here is this one. I never heard of this, but it was cheap, and so I just grabbed it because it had one of my favorite players on it. This is David Schnitter, Goliath, on Muse Records. I guess that must be old David Schnitter right there. It's got Cecil McBee on bass, and it's Van Gelder Studios. So I think I knew that Van Gelder had recorded for Muse. I know he recorded for CTI, but this, yeah, sure enough, has Van Gelder and the Dead Wax. So that's cool. I listened to it once. I like it. I haven't quite internalized it yet. I'll probably listen to it a couple more times, but it was sealed. It was brand new. $8. Van Gelder with Cecil McBee on it. You can't pass that up. Here's one that's been on my eBay cart for a while, and I found it there at Euclid for under $10, so I grabbed it. Mal Waldron, you guys know I'm a big Mal Waldron fan if you watched any of my previous videos, with Joe Henderson, Dave Friesen, and Billy Higgins. I also like Billy Higgins a lot, so I always grab stuff with him on it. 82 on Palo Alto Records. I think this might be another one of these things where it's actually it's an Enya recording maybe, and then they put it out on a different label in the U.S. I'm not quite sure. I've never heard of anything else on Palo Alto Records. But that's Mal with good players, and so I got it. Haven't listened to it yet. Here's one that they had up on a wall, and I liked it because they had a lot of like kind of lesser known stuff or stuff that you might pass over up on the wall. So this is another Muse. This is Chick Corea Bliss with the only guy that really stood out to me on this one was Pete LaRocca on drums. And this has a song called Dancing Girls that is just like droney kind of. It's very different and more like avant-garde composition, like modern classical music in some ways, with a really cool drum solo. So I'm starting to get into Muse. I might have to grab some more Muse records. It's the first couple that I've grabbed and thought, oh, I need to get more of these. My friend came to visit from Canada. This is a guy I was living with last year when I was working at the University of Western Ontario, and he knows that I like this traveling record dealer that goes through the university there. I bought a lot of great stuff from that guy last year, and so he went and picked up stuff for me. So I appreciate that a lot. So if you want, this is some VCLT from somebody who's not in the vinyl community, but still a nice thing to get. So this is a compilation. I think this was put out right after Liberty bought Blue Note, 27 years, but it's a Liberty pressing. It's just a compilation of some of the classic tracks from old Blue Note records. It's electronically stereo, so yeah, it's a little cheesy, but I listened to it with the mono cartridge. I used to have a mono copy of that was in rough shape, but I passed along. He also grabbed some comps for me. So you got this Gene Ammons, The Big Sound. I think this is just like a compilation of all the stuff that Gene Ammons put out on Prestige way back in the day. This is after the fantasy sale of Prestige. Similar thing here to that Blue Note where they had this intellectual property and they wanted to capitalize on it, I'm sure. But it's got classic tracks on there. Classic band. Mal Waldron, Pepper Adams, Paul Kinechet. I think that's how you say that. John Coltrane. So, yeah, it's cool. 2 records. Tons of good music on that. And then he also grabbed this for me. This is another Blue Note comp. This is later. This is in the 80s, I think. It's on the dark blue. This is, what is this called? Blue Note Live at the Roxy. So this is a compilation of live recordings of Blue Note artists at that time. So that was cool to get to. So he gave me those 3, but I also think, I almost tell him to just grab anything Blue Note, anything Prestige, because I got really lucky with a couple of buys from this guy at Western Ontario last year, and I ended up with some really nice records for really good prices because he sells just on a tiered pricing. So anybody who's close to a university in Canada, let me know. I can send you a link to this guy. Maybe you'll come by and you can just go to campus that day and buy some records from him. I think it's like $5, $10, occasionally a $15 record. All good stuff. And then I forgot to bring them over here, so I'm not going to show these. But I do want to give if you do go to Charleston and you do want to go do something other like, in between your meals, which you probably eat 4 of them a day. That's what we did. Um, if you want something in between your gluttony, you can go record shopping at a place called the Vinyl Countdown. It's on North King. It's North on King, like 700 block, well away from like the really touristy part of town. But there's some really cool and hip restaurants around it. A place called Leon's Oysters and Chicken that was really good food. So if you're ever in Charleston, go up north for a couple hours. Eat a shrimp roll at Leon's, and then walk up a block to the Vinyl Countdown. The guy just getting started. I think he's still working out exactly how to make a record shop work in a town like that. That's kind of touristy in a way that's different from record collecting. But he had a bunch of high dollar pop records. He had all the MoFi old Beatles releases from the 80s or 70s. I don't know when they did that. So he had all of those. Of course, he was charging a lot for them. But then he also had a second U.S. pressing of Astral Weeks that I picked up. You guys know I love that record. I put that on my Desert Island, I think. And so I grabbed that. And I grabbed a Lou Reed Legendary Hearts, which is one of the Lou Reeds that I didn't have yet. So I don't have them sitting here, so I won't show them. But yeah, grab those. My brother-in-law got some stuff too. He's like 23 now, but he's getting more and more into record collecting as he and I always go shopping when we're together. So yeah, New Orleans, get yourself there. Get to Euclid Records. South Carolina, if you're there eating, go to this place, Final Countdown, and eat some more across the street. So, all right, I'm going to take another trip soon. So actually, if you guys want to give me some suggestions, that'd be great. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Cleveland this weekend. I'm going to be there for 3 days. I don't know if I'll have time for record shopping, but I'm going to try. So if anybody knows any good Cleveland spots, let me know. I'm going to go to Chicago for a conference, and I'll have 1 day there of running around before the conference. I plan to go to Jazz Record Mart, Permanent Records, and Dusty Groove if I have time. But if somebody says, "Hey, don't go to that place, go to this place instead," I'd be happy to hear from firsthand experience about Chicago record shops. Then I'll be going up to Madison for a week, Madison, Wisconsin, to work with somebody. I'll have tons of free time up there. So if anybody knows great record shops, I know one that's really close to campus, and that's where I've gone when I visited before, and it's really great. Huge record shop, but that's the only one I visited, and I'm sure there are more. A college town like that in the Midwest where people didn't have much to do in 1960, 1970, 1980. I'm sure there's tons of records out there. Then I'll be back in Indianapolis, which I know Indianapolis. Okay, I'm not a huge. I haven't liked like Luna, but I saw here on the vinyl community a video for another shop in Indianapolis, and then I will be back in Muncie, Indiana, and I might try to make a video about this place in Muncie where I went to college. That I think is an amazing record shop, and the dude who owns it is really passionate. He gets great stuff, charges the cheapest prices you can imagine. Maybe I'll take a camera in there, and make a little video about the Village Green in Muncie, Indiana, and post it on here. So maybe when somebody's road tripping, they'll go out of their way to go record shopping there. Okay, well that's all I have. It took a long time. I'll try to put some flags on this so you can jump around if you want. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.